Afternoon, friend. Stephen Bennun here with Israeli News Live. Today is July the 7th, 2025, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about a dream I had, but really the dream that I had has more impact on the information that I saw in this dream has more impact on what is coming, not just what is coming, but the fact of biblical prophetic things unfolding in real time right now. We are definitely entering into that time at the very end. This is the time where Satan wants to sit in the temple of God and be worshiped as if he were God. And we're not talking about a temple made in the Middle East in Jerusalem. That'll be the what would you call that? That would be the smoke screen for you to accept that. And some guy sitting in there and everybody would call that the Antichrist. No, it's not going to be that. You are that temple. And Satan wants to control you. Not just you, but every human on this planet. If he wants to be like God, be worshipped as if he were God, and sit in the temple of God like this, then he has to do the exact same way that God did. God was not just out there hanging around in the temple in Jerusalem. That's been destroyed for 2,000 years. But where has Christ been? Where has truly the Father been? We have been that temple for him. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to take you through a little bit of this video here that is actually playing in the background right now, because this shows you exactly from a lot of different perspectives what they're doing. I'm going to also show you Israel and Israeli articles, different people, and like Robert Duncan did. I did this over on our Patreon channel. And this may be airing on Patreon. I haven't really decided yet what to do with this at this point. But I do want to take and share a lot of this information with you. But first, let's take a look, though. 2 Thessalonians, it says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." No, that's not going to be what's in the Middle East. Will they build a third temple? Perhaps they will. Daniel clearly identifies that they're going to change the times and the decree, not the law. In the book of Daniel, it doesn't say anything about a law. It says the decree. And I will remind you of that, and going back to that one last quick time, though, because this could be the first time for somebody watching this video, never knowing some of the things that I stand for, the things that I actually believe in. But in Daniel, in chapter 7, we actually have it. Let me see. I got to find where that's at there. I don't even know if I have it highlighted or not on this particular version. Here we go, right here. Here it is. "And he shall speak words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints of the Most High." By the way, that one right there, let me just change that to orange there. That's been over a period of time, because before he could change the seasons or the time, that's literally the word in Hebrew, that is zamin, time. Before he can change that time, and it's not the word law, it's decree, it is a Persian word, dot, these two letters, dalet tav, dot. Before he can change that decree, he had to first wear down the saints. And the way he wore those saints down was starting by the Cyrus Scofield Bible, that would place in the minds of the people that we needed a modern state of Israel to build a third temple in. But that's the smokescreen. Then, with that accomplishment, then he thinks he can change the season, which it was not Cyrus Scofield, but Cyrus the Persian king, who had given the decree to go back and build the temple, the second temple, about 500 years before Christ, in order to build that temple, because, of course, Cyrus didn't know it, but Christ was coming. The true Messiah was coming. That's why that is written there. It's going to be given to his hand time and a half a time. So there is going to take place a time where he'll be able to pull this off. Now, with that being said, though, if we go back even unto, let's see, 1 Corinthians, as I mentioned to you, you are the temple of God. As it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16, know ye not that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy, for the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. Now, you got to remember what he's talking about. If any man defile the temple of God, he's really talking about Satan. He's not talking about you out there doing the things that you're doing to defile your own body. He's talking about those ones that want to defile your temple to prevent the Holy Spirit from dwelling within you. You see, when you are connected to God, when you're connected through Jesus Christ back to the Heavenly Father, you become an invincible army. You are connected to the very source of the Father. Beyond that of what we call the ether, you go even beyond the ether. And every believer is connected as one. That's why Jesus says you are all called brothers and sisters. Satan knows this. He knows how that connection really works. He knows that the Spirit of Christ within you has enabled you to be able to connect with the mind of the Father, and that's an infinite source of everything. The problem is we just don't know it, we don't believe it, therefore we don't have those things. Even the Bible says that. It says, you have not because you believe not. All right, that's where the trouble comes in. But that's a different issue. What we're looking at right now is what are they up to? Those demonic entities, they have a plan. And they're basically trying to do a reset. They want to take it back to where Adam and Eve, when Eve was inside of Adam and he put him into that deep sleep. There's debatable thoughts on that from different discoveries that have been made, though. But he was in a stupor. Okay? He did not know what was going on. We know that when he eats of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, his eyes come open. So something was going on there. We're going to get into that in a moment. But first, let's take a look at what they're up to. Let's now listen in a little bit.
But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals.
The future of mind control, and the future being right now because these experiments are being done, is using gene editing tools.
I can create small robotic units at the nanoscale, can directly diffuse into the brain space, but their presence is almost impossible to detect. This amount of nanomaterial could, in fact, affect all of you.
Read from the living brain and right into the living brain.
There's a mysterious direct energy weapon that is being used, and it is causing permanent traumatic brain injury.
We have to get more information, and we got to tell the public what's going on.
The government has to acknowledge that this is happening to civilians.
Almost that science fact seems stranger than fiction.
We can send instructions and information to an actual person from a distance with this kind of technology to let another person control their actions. But that could be something that could be malicious.
The Army had it on their website called V2K.
It's not just
Dr. Robert Duncan, who has just appeared here. That's Dr. Robert Duncan there. And the video on Patreon, I play a lot more of. is very, very scary. Some of the things that this man reveals, the technology that even he invented, a lot of this technology that they have used for very nefarious means. Now, the thing is the dream that I had was disturbing in itself. It was traveling along, coming up to this one city. I was actually driving a truck, a moving truck at the time. And as we were coming into the city, there was all kinds of police on the outskirts of the city. So I'm thinking to myself, something's really bad about to go down on this poor city here. You get in there and you're totally caught completely off guard. They begin to move traffic into different directions. And as they did, they began to pull the people from the vehicles. And you're almost cooperative because you don't really know what's going on. You don't think anything bad's going on or sinister's going on. But the purpose and the intent for them bringing you out of their vehicles is because they're about to take and alter your reality as you know. Some type of device, I don't even know how it happened, where it happened, but I could literally feel it when it happened, was trying to rob our very minds of everything we knew or believed. Not quite fully everything, but then they wanted to rewrite what you believed and what you thought. In so much that they actually began to separate families. And when this process was done, you weren't supposed to even remember that you had this family that you had. But not everybody it worked on. I was one of the ones that it did not. But oddly enough, the next thing I know, they bring this woman to me. It almost felt like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden when Adam wakes up and he's kind of groggy from his being put to sleep there. And Eve comes up to him and now he looks and, oh, this is my wife. But it was in the negative sense here. Not maybe we would say Eve was the positive for Adam, a good thing for him. But in my case, it was in the negative because the thing is I didn't wake up not knowing. I woke up still knowing that my wife and my daughter, our son, was somewhere out there. The woman that they brought to me, though, also seemed to realize that it didn't work on her either. The surveillance now that was now going on was nothing like anything you had ever seen in your life. I could not even for the life of me begin to understand how they had put together a surveillance technology unlike anything ever known in my life on this planet. So even to begin to find your wife, your correct wife and children become the biggest challenge of your life because every move you made was being watched. And you just sit there and you see in this video here, they're going to hack your mind.
The Army had it on their website called V2K.
It's not just a very disturbing high-pitched noise, but there might even be voices or a message, a continual message that people have been victimized by.
But if you cognitively model someone, you have a brain print, like a fingerprint, functional MRI that you can do at a distance over the earth. You have every human being's brain pattern. You can control 8 billion brains on the planet, potentially. Read them. It's worldwide.
Intentional. Read them. Dr. Duncan, a man that does know. You have to understand, and it's going to get deeper. Satan wants to sit in the temple of God. He wants to be in control of you. But it's for even a greater purpose. What if he can get control? What if he could get control of every mind on the planet? If he can do that, then he will also become a lot more powerful. You know, it says in the Bible that in the last days that he will be like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. Maybe he is consuming your thoughts, your mind, everything that you are. Remember what Jesus says in Matthew 24, verse 21, "For then shall a great tribulation, such was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be." Sometimes we think of great tribulation, but yet if you go back to the time of Titus, when he besieged the city of Jerusalem, ransacked it, the numbers of people that were killed during that onslaught was just unbelievable. But he's saying that there's going to be a tribulation such was not since the beginning of the world to this time. The great flood will not even compare to this. Imagine then what it will be like if Satan is hacking all humanity's minds. And maybe the only ones that are impervious to this are those that truly are children of the light and not children of the darkness, which is another interesting issue. I'll go to that in a moment. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. No flesh would be saved. Well, you just saw what Dr. Duncan said. They'd be able to get control of all 8 billion people on the earth. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. Maybe it's not so much that they're finding some archaeological evidence or whatever, but because they are tapping into the ether to every mind on the earth. And by the way, when they can do that, they can also tap into both the thoughts that are present as well as those things that were in the past. That's how advanced technology has gotten. So they could say, Lo, here is Christ. How else are they going to deceive you? Just like the serpent did to Eve. For there shall arise false Christs, false prophets shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Well, you got to remember, there was this great, as Daniel wrote over here, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Totally pounding you down, great miracles, great signs, great wonders. Jesus says, you'll do all these things, and I'll say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never even knew you. I did a message on that, breaking down what iniquity really is. You should take a look at that. So we see those things there. Now let's move a little bit more forward then. This article right here, it is a Hebrew article. And I'm going to reload it just so we can do it again. So it'll go for English for you. I think they're going to allow me to be able to do this in English. I hope so. If not, I'll tell you about the article. I'm just going to see if I got anything on here where I can convert it to English. I don't have anything that lets me convert it to English. Try it one more time. All right, let me tell you about the article in here. I actually read this article here. It is a very interesting article about this lady here that she's writing in here. She is talking about the mind control techniques that the Israeli government is using on their citizens, just like what you hear in different interviews about people. I forget the guy's name. He's down in Australia that did an interview with Dr. Duncan. I reached out to him. He has messaged me back, and hopefully we'll get to do an interview together. But they're controlling the people's minds. They are hacking these people. They pick just everyday people that nobody would suspect, and those are the minds that they begin to put all kinds of crazy things into your minds and things like that to be able to control you. And this is exactly what this article does here. One way, let me see if I can do it this way here for you. Maybe I could run this through Google Translate. That might help you out just a little bit, because I want you to see. I don't want you to just take my word for what is said in this document here, but I want you to be able to see some of this for yourself. So I'll just take this graph here, and we'll translate this for you here. All right. It never occurred to me that such a cruel crime existed in which a person's mind could be controlled and operated remotely. Although I experienced this type of control over myself, but after I recognized such brain control over my family members, which separates us from each other, thus allows us to be operated against each other. Pretty crazy. I understand that people could be controlled remotely, but I thought it was done through a type of hypnosis until one day I joined Facebook group called People Under Illegal Experiments, Electronic Harassment, managed by Ayel Noel Nisson. In this group, I was first exposed to this type of crime that encompasses the country and the world. I read and heard testimonies from victims, and I learned a little about the crime against targeted people whose entire lives are controlled by malicious elements. And I realized that I and my family are targeted, and like us, tens of thousands of families in Israel and around the world. Now, the strange thing is when you go down and you begin to read, and you may have to translate this yourself. I'll put a link in the description for you. If you want to translate it in Google, it is pretty accurate on what's written in Hebrew there. But as you go down and read this article, she's going to give you examples where thoughts and stuff were put into her family members, and they like attack one another, all because they're being mind controlled. But again, what is it? Satan is moving about very rapidly. He wants to devour all of humanity. And this is what's really coming. Okay? This is what we're really facing in the not so distant future. This article here was in Chinese. I did all kinds of searches in different languages. I figured it's the best way to find it. But this one here is translated for you. One day, freedom will only exist on a mental level, an experience that has been had. They will tell you where you can live, what you can wear, what car you can drive, and how much you can eat, and how to purchase goods and services. They will strip you of your religion, race, gender, national origin, age, skin color, beliefs, opinions, rights, and control the population. They will establish you know what else those other words are, and put tracking marks and name tags on everyone. Everything. And by the way, in case you didn't see it, I'll highlight it for you. Okay? Everything that was before will be held deleted, and everything that is new will be fully manipulated. The ideals you firmly believe in can be buried in your heart because everything must conform to their rule. Anything outside will be abolished, and they will exercise complete and total control over everything and become the sole owner of your soul. The light, once guided, will dim, and freedom will be like a reluctant bird with its wings cut off and pressed into the cage in your ribs. Think of the analogy that was just used just there. Well, now we're back to the Chinese. Sorry about that. Let's see. I was trying to get it to where you could see it. This was a crazy article. I forget where it's at now, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, and then you have two. This one here did not say what I was looking for. We see that the guy that is, they always put him on a red carpet. I think that's very commending that they do that, because if you spill so much blood on the earth, you deserve to walk out on the red carpet. It's a testimony. Here we go.
First, in the Earth's magnetic field, the human species is about 7 billion conductive brains, all sharing this field. Think of 7 billion wires, all immersed in the Earth's magnetic field. This field contains enough energy to store the experience of every human being who has ever lived. It's an easy calculation. Just think about that. All the information of every human brain that's ever lived has the potential to be stored in the Earth's magnetic field with lots of energy left over. There's the Earth's magnetic field, as you've seen it on many occasions. In fact, the strength of the magnetic field induced in every brain, right now you're being induced, to put it this way, you are immersed in the Earth's magnetic field, is penetrating through your brain, through your body. And in fact, the strength of the magnetic field induced in every brain by the Earth's magnetic field, when all brains are considered, is almost identical to the strength that each brain generates. Your brain generates in the order of about a picotesla, which is about a trillionth of a Tesla, much weaker than the Earth's magnetic field. but that's the operational intensity. But what does it mean? It means simply this: such convergence produces the conditions that allow global resonance and the possibility of a human hologram. That is, 7 billion brains, basically immersed in the Earth's magnetic field, all with similar intensities, the whole equal the sum, and the sum equal the individual equal the sum. That sets up the conditions for a hologram. Calculations suggest that the time required for an event in one human brain to diffuse into all other human brains on this planet would be about 10 minutes. And it would recur primarily during dreams or during altered states. In other words, you can actually calculate it.
What we're going to get into here in just a second here, he's going to talk about this is not something that they're speculating. This is reality. He's going to talk about how that they can put all these minds together. This is what Satan is looking to do.
7 billion brains is an easy calculation. One brain, something you're thinking about right now, how long would it take if we're all connected to diffuse to every other human brain on this planet? About 10 minutes. And optimally during dreaming, when the right hemisphere is dominant.
Are we all connected? According to Dr. Persinger, the answer is yes. Each of us are immersed in the Earth's magnetic field, which has the energy to store the experiences of every human who has ever lived. Right now, your brain is being influenced by this field, creating the conditions for a global resonance where our minds could potentially sync up. Dr. Persinger calculates that an event in one brain could spread to all others within about 10 minutes, especially during dreams. This idea was tested in the Maimonides dream studies, where people dreaming in one room described pictures someone else was looking at in another room. When geomagnetic activity was quiet, their dream content matched the pictures almost perfectly. So, are we influencing each other's dreams from a distance? And could we learn to access all information directly?
Classic example comes from an experimental study. Remember, the most important philosophy that human beings have ever developed has been science and the methodology of science. The most powerful and potent tool has been the experiment. This is an experimental kind of study in where individuals who are dreaming in one room and simply engaging in ordinary dreaming in another room, a person is looking at a picture, a target, a picture. And what we find, and this is the work done at the Maimonides Dream Hospital or Dream Studies, what we found is that when individuals are dreaming and someone in another room is looking at a picture, under certain nights, when you look at the dream content is exactly what the picture was, the other person was looking at. And it's so obvious that not only does the dreamer know, but if you gave the description of the dream and a series of different pictures and said, pair the dream content with all of these pictures, they'll pick the exact picture that was being concentrated upon. Notice that the black circles indicate that when the geomagnetic activity...
So the point comes down to in this is that he is going to come right out and tell you, let me see if I can get it at the right spot,
or at a distance for that matter. Here's a more important question. Why don't these experiences occur more frequently? Or is your brain more like a television remote that is randomly changing channels and ever so often overlaps with the source? What would happen if a procedure was developed that allowed direct access to whole information, to all of it? Right? Suppose there was a technology. That's what we're talking about tonight.
As we proceed, he will delve deeper into a science that is simply mind-blowing. Yet, amidst these astonishing revelations, one truth stands out distinctly. Our brains, our very minds, equip us as individuals with all the necessary tools to achieve the extraordinary. Let's continue exploring these profound capabilities and what they mean for us as interconnected beings.
Can the ability to access information at a distance be trained? And the answer is yes, it is, and we've trained.
Well, I don't want to sit here and go through the entire thing with you. I will post that in the comments for you so you can look at that for yourself. But the thing is, what it comes down to, Satan, that is the sons and daughters of light, that we do have the most incredible ability. I think what his real intent is that if he can get control of our minds and our thoughts, not just everybody on the planet, he wants to sit in the temple of God, just like God did. God is able to dwell within us and connect us to him. What if he could literally get a hold of and capture our thoughts and minds and then connect directly to the Father himself? No wonder why Jesus says that he'll cut the work short because no flesh would be saved. Something to think about, right? If you look at John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That word is logos right there. But not every time does it, when you see the English word, in the New Testament actually apply to the Logos. That's interesting, especially if you ever do a study on it. The same was in the beginning with God, and all things were made by him. Without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and darkness comprehended it not. Now, interestingly enough, in Genesis, that's exactly what we have. And God formed the man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. But in Genesis chapter 1, before he ever becomes that man that is formed of the ground, he is actually, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And some people try to argue, they'll say, oh, no, Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, it's really the same. It's just different parts of that creation. Well, if you look in the Egyptian writings, we find out that that's not true. We find out that in Genesis 1, God created man a light being, something I've always held to and only recently found that. And in Genesis 2, he becomes a man that tills the soil. One is a light being, the other is a soul. And which is interesting because if you look in Genesis 2, and we get down here near the bottom here, and we read in here, God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them, and God blessed them, right? Actually, gosh, what am I'm wanting? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think I'm in chapter 1 still. Yep, let's go back to chapter 2. We get down here, and he talks about where he forms that rib and everything, but where the woman is actually taken from, she's taken from she's called Isha because why? She is from Meish, not from Adam, as it says right here in verse 22. But in this case here, he says that she is from Meish, from the fire of God that was within that man. That's why you know that in the beginning they were light beings. And in this chapter 2, they become Adam of the earth, where the soul, the nephesh, is able to dwell within them. And that is the reason why we see also verse 24, where Christ has to come and redeem man because of the fallen state. But going back to the whole point about John, John said, in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in darkness, and darkness comprehended it not. So there are some people on this earth that do not have light within them. And according to Job, we find out, very interestingly enough, that that's true. Job says here in chapter 18, he goes on, he says, thou that tearest thyself in thine anger, and shall the earth be forsaken for you, or shall the rock be removed out of its place? Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tent, talking about his body, and his lamp over him shall be put out. That's why you have people that are called sons of darkness. That light is put out because of their unbelief. And that's where we've come to this day here. We have come actually to that point now. This article here in Hebrew as well. This one here as well was a fascinating article. And maybe I can get this one to go into English for you. Let's see if we can. Doesn't want to go. Let's see if I can we'll try to translate a little bit of this for you here. This is a very in-depth, detailed article. And again, it is about the technology that they have come to create and just what they're able to do. Technology is about to penetrate your brain. Facebook will read minds. Researchers will operate devices with the power of thought, and managers will monitor employees' brain waves and series of breakthroughs. Interface between the brain and the computer has turned the ethical debate from theoretical to real and raises another question mark about what privacy is. Through your eyes themselves, a dear sister sent a message to my wife from Europe. Through the technology, through the eyes, that they're able to tap into your thoughts. It's no longer theoretical, it's a fact. DARPA Facebook mind control, China. The battles over the privacy of the information we release into the world on social networks and email by other means have been going on for years with impressive success. In the meantime, it turns out that these battles were just the opening act of much more disturbing struggle concerning the privacy of our thoughts. In recent months, several breakthroughs have been presented in the field of brain-computer interface. You ever wonder why when you just say something out loud, next thing you know, an advertisement appears on your computer about the very thing you just said? Or really want to get freaky, what about when you think it? And the next thing you know, an advertisement appears about something you thought. How many times do you think that's happening to you on a regular basis? Elon Musk reveals this is what the robot will allow you to control. The human brain will look like. Telepathic like. Facebook is developing the ability to control the brain. Can't find the remote. Change channels on the TV with the power of thought. These devices expand, refine the activity of the brain. This is all under an Israeli article through what the Israelis are not only revealing, but are doing themselves. These devices expand or refine the activity of the brain and allow it to control devices, use them, receive information from them, etc. But yet, I have been able to show, especially if you look at our Patreon channel, over and over and over, how this is no longer science fiction. What I dreamed was actually science reality. It's disturbing to say the absolute least. And yet this is exactly what Satan wants to do. You have to remember, Adam and Eve, when he woke up and Eve was standing beside him there, he said, "This is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh," because she looked like him. But he was put into that deep sleep. When they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it caused their minds to wake up. They realized they were naked, not naked because they didn't have no clothes on. They were in a body of flesh. And that's supported by Christian writings. All you have to do is do some research for yourself. You will find out for yourself some of the most unbelievable things that you could ever even imagine. This article, though, goes on and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It is disturbing, to say the least. Trying to get it not to highlight everything in there so you can see some more of this right here in this article here. But you just have no clue. A simple black device studded in invisible electrodes that attaches to the head and reads through the hair and scalp based on deep learning tools. The technology decoded signals of the brain. Test subjects allowed them to operate with their eyes closed, a wheelchair, small robotic vehicles, and PowerPoint presentation. And that's only what they're revealing to you that they do. Listen to Dr. Duncan. He'll tell you what they haven't told you what they can do. They can do it with a satellite and read your mind. Satan is on a rampage, and he's very close to sitting in the temple of God being worshipped. And that's what's going to happen to you if there's not some very deep soul searching on our own until we are truly connected with Christ. And I guess that was the one thing that prevented them from being able to take my own mind, was I had that connectivity that they could not break. I'm Stephen Bennun. You're watching Israeli News Live. If you want to support the broadcast, please do. Our address right above my head there, P.O. Box 956, Prosper, Texas. Zip code's there. I forget exactly what it is by memory, but that's there as well. And two, I want to just remind you, those of you that if you go to our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org, that we support LifeWave and EMP Shield. I know LifeWave has a special going on right now, so remind you when there are specials. Right now, you can get the Transformative Trio, which is X39, X49, and Eon for free when you sign up as a preferred customer. So whether you that or if you want to be a brand partner, I just encourage you as far as a customer. I think you should try it. Stimulating your stem cells every Sunday night. We do our Sunday Zoom meetings. They're loaded on Bennun X39 on YouTube, and we always talk about this great testimonies over and over and over of how people are being helped, especially those that have been on there for a year or longer, seeing amazing results. One other thing too, I'm sure EM also is doing a sale as well around July 4th. The one with Lifeway will be going on until about mid-month, and July 4th is doing a sale as well, as they normally always do. And so save up to 20% off. Plus, when you use your INL50 code, you can see these both on our website, you save $50 off of any product that you might purchase. But they're also doing that 20% off. That's on top of whatever you get on the discount. So if you order online from any of their things online, you'll never get the savings. You'll get the 20%, but you will not get that $50 off. So please click on that link there. When you click on empshield.com, use INL50. It's in our website there, so you can tells you right there, prepare and be safe with EMP Shield. Use code INL50 to save $50. And if you buy more than one item because you need more, you'll definitely be able to do so. Also, Yana just wrote an article recently talking about heart transplants and organ trafficking, Israel's hidden scandal. It's an amazing article that she did there on Israeli News Live, and I'll be writing another one by the end of the week here myself. God bless you. Thank you for your support of this ministry, and we appreciate you so much, and God bless you.